If you are a United States citizen right now, if you hold a green card, if you are waiting for your immigration case to be decided, or if someone in your family has ties to another country, what I am about to tell you could change everything you thought you knew about your status. An executive order has just expanded immigration restrictions in ways that reach further than ever before. And for the first time, dual citizens are being named directly in the language of these policies. You may have thought your citizenship made you untouchable. You may have believed that once you became American, nothing could threaten that. But right now, thousands of people just like you are discovering that holding a passport from two countries can put you under a level of scrutiny you never expected. This is not a drill. This is not a rumor. This is federal policy, and it is already being enforced at airports, consulates, and border checkpoints across the country. So, if you have ever held citizenship in another nation, if your parents came from somewhere else, or if your children carry passports from two places, you need to understand exactly what is happening right now and what it means for you. Let me be direct with you. I am not an attorney. I do not represent the government. I do not work for USCIS or any immigration agency. What I share with you today is based entirely on public information, official announcements, and legal documents that anyone can access. My purpose is to break down complex policies into language you can actually understand. But this is not legal advice. If your situation feels urgent or uncertain, you must speak to a licensed immigration lawyer who can review your specific facts. I am here to inform you, not to represent you. Keep that in mind as we move forward. Here is what just changed. A new executive order has been signed that dramatically expands the list of countries whose citizens face enhanced vetting, travel delays, and in some cases outright entry bans into the United States. But this order does something previous policies did not do. It does not just look at where you were born. It does not just look at where you are traveling from. It looks at every citizenship you hold, even if you are already a United States citizen. That means if you became a naturalized American but you still hold citizenship in one of the newly restricted countries, you are now flagged in the system. Your name triggers additional reviews. Your travel gets extra scrutiny. And, in certain situations, you may be pulled aside, questioned, or delayed every single time you leave or enter the United States. This is not theoretical. This is happening right now to real people at real airports. So who exactly is affected by this expansion? Let me be very clear. If you hold dual citizenship and one of those citizenships is from a country now listed under this order, you are in the affected category. That includes people who were born in those countries and became Americans later. It includes people who inherited citizenship through parents, even if they have never lived there. It includes people who hold passports they have not used in years, but never formally renounced. The government is not asking whether you feel loyal to that other country. They are not asking whether you have been there recently. They are simply seeing that second citizenship on file, and that alone is enough to place you into a higher risk category for screening and review. And here is what makes this especially dangerous. The list of restricted countries is not static. It can be updated at any time without public notice. A country that was safe last month could be added tomorrow, and suddenly your status changes overnight. Now, let me tell you what the real risks are if you fall into this category. First, expect severe travel delays. You may be held for hours at Customs and Border Protection every time you return to the United States. You may be separated from your family while officers review your documents and ask you repeated questions about your ties to the other country. Second, expect your immigration applications to slow down or stall entirely. If you have family members waiting for green cards, if you are sponsoring a relative, if you have any pending matter with USCIS, the fact that you hold dual citizenship in a restricted nation can cause your case to be placed into what they call administrative processing. That can mean months or even years of waiting with no clear answers. Third, understand that this creates a permanent record. Every time you are flagged, every time you are questioned, every interaction gets logged into federal databases. Over time, this builds a profile that can be used against you if any future issue arises. And fourth, In the most extreme cases, there is a risk that your citizenship itself could come under review. While denaturalization is rare, it is not impossible, and the government has been more aggressive in recent years about reopening old cases, looking for any inconsistency or error that could be used to challenge your naturalization. So what must you do right now if any of this applies to you? First, you need to know exactly which countries are on the restricted list. Do not assume. Do not guess. Look up the current executive order and read the list yourself. If you hold citizenship in any of those nations, you are affected. Period. Second, if you plan to travel internationally, you must prepare for the possibility of being detained and questioned. Carry every single piece of documentation you have. Naturalization certificates, birth certificates, marriage licenses, proof of residence, employment records, tax returns. Bring everything. Do not rely on the system to pull up your file correctly. Third, if you have any pending immigration matter, consult an attorney immediately. Do not wait for a denial letter. Do not wait for a delay to turn into a disaster. Get legal advice now while you still have time to act. Fourth, if you hold a passport from a restricted country that you no longer want or need, consider whether renouncing that citizenship makes sense for your situation. This is not a decision to make lightly, and it is not necessary for everyone, but in some cases it may be the smartest way to remove yourself from the flagged category permanently. And fifth, do not speak to immigration officers without understanding your rights. You do not have to answer every question they ask. You do not have to volunteer information. Be polite, be respectful, but be careful. Anything you say can and will be used in future proceedings. Let me tell you about the mistakes people are making right now that are getting them into serious trouble. Mistake number 1 is assuming that because they are U.S. citizens, they cannot be touched. That is wrong. Your citizenship gives you the right to enter the country, but it does not protect you from investigation, detention, or review. Mistake number 2 is traveling without proper documentation. People assume their passport is enough. It is not. If you are flagged, you will be asked for far more than a passport, and if you cannot produce it, you will be held until they verify everything manually. Mistake number 3 is lying or hiding information. If an officer asks you whether you hold citizenship in another country and you say no, but they find out later that you do, that lie alone can be grounds for serious consequences, including revocation of status. Always tell the truth. Mistake number 4 is ignoring the problem and hoping it goes away. It will not. If you are in the affected category, this will follow you every time you interact with the immigration system until you address it directly. And mistake number 5 is waiting until you are already at the airport to figure this out. By then, it is too late. You need to prepare now, before you book your next trip, before you submit your next application, before anything goes wrong. Here is what you need to understand about the bigger picture. This executive order is not just about security. It is about control. It is about creating a system where the government can track, monitor, and restrict the movements of anyone who has ties to certain parts of the world, even if those ties are nothing more than a passport they inherited at birth. And the dual citizen category is especially vulnerable because you exist in two worlds. You have rights in the United States, but you also have legal connections to another nation, and that makes you a target for suspicion. The government does not have to prove you did anything wrong. They just have to decide that your profile fits a pattern they consider risky. And once you are in that category, getting out is almost impossible. Let me also tell you what this means for your family. If you are a U.S. citizen with dual citizenship in a restricted country, and you are trying to bring your spouse or children to America, your case will now face extra layers of review. If your kids hold the same dual citizenship you do, they will grow up being stopped and questioned every time they travel. If your elderly parents are waiting for green cards, their cases may be delayed indefinitely simply because of your status. This does not just affect you. It affects everyone connected to you. And that is why you cannot afford to ignore this. Now let me be very clear about something that is causing a lot of confusion. Not every dual citizen is affected equally. If you hold citizenship in Canada and the United States, you are fine. If you hold citizenship in Germany and the United States, you are fine. If you hold citizenship in Japan, Australia, the United Kingdom, or dozens of other countries that are not on the restricted list, none of this applies to you. But if even one of your citizenships is from a country that is named in this order, everything I have told you today applies to you fully. Do not let anyone tell you that you are overreacting. Do not let anyone tell you this is just politics, this is law, this is policy, and it is being enforced right now. So what is the final warning I want to leave you with today? This executive order is just the beginning. Policies like this do not get smaller over time. They expand. More countries get added to the list. More categories of people get flagged. More restrictions get put in place. And once you are in the system as someone under review, that label does not go away easily. You cannot undo the damage after it happens. You have to act now while you still have options. You have to protect yourself and your family before the rules get even tighter. And you have to understand that the version of America you thought you were living in, the one where citizenship meant safety and belonging, that version is changing fast. The new reality is that even citizens can be treated as outsiders if they have the wrong passport in their file. I know this is heavy. I know it is scary. But I would rather you hear the truth now and take action than find out the hard way when you are standing in a detention room at the airport wondering what went wrong. You have the power to protect yourself, but only if you act quickly, carefully, and with full awareness of what you are up against. Do not wait. Do not hope this blows over. And do not assume that because you have done nothing wrong, nothing bad can happen to you. In the world of immigration law, innocence is not enough. You need strategy, you need documentation, and you need to stay one step ahead. This is your wake-up call. What you do next could determine whether you keep the life you have built or lose everything you worked for. Choose carefully.